Unit 1 on numbers. We're going to do part 1 of 1.1. Right, why do we have to learn about numbers? Basically, whenever we use numbers, we just use the calculator, so it feels like we know everything about numbers. However, we don't really focus or concentrate on the basic rules of working with numbers. And when we bring in variables, in other words, when we are working with algebra, if we don't know our basic rules of working with numbers, then we're all stuck with the algebra and we can't do that. And of course, that is the important part. Okay, let's have a look at the number line. What is the point of a number line? It's just a visual representation of what numbers work like. So the number line, we draw a nice straight line using a ruler. We put arrows on both sides because the numbers keep going in the positive and in the negative direction. So in the middle we put 0. Then evenly spaced we put little ticks for our whole numbers in both directions. So positive, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Negative, we go to the left, 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4. So to the right of 0 is the positive numbers, to the left of 0 are the negative numbers. Now the numbers we see there are called integers. They are all the whole numbers. They don't have fractions included. But if, for instance, we had to see 1.5 on our number line, you would start at 0, you would count 1, and then only go half a step, and that would be 1.5. What if we had negative minus 2.5? You would go 1, 2 in the negative direction, and then another half step, and that would give you negative 2.5. Right, so numbers go larger from left to right. And that means they are ordered. There's an order in which they appear. So if we look at our number line, we can see that negative 2.5 is to the left of negative 2. So it is smaller than negative 2, not bigger, because it's to the left. Okay, let's look at a word that's important. We often talk about consecutive numbers. And what do we mean by that? Well, it's going forward as in counting. In other words, going forward one by one. For instance, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. Just remember that if you start at a negative, then you've got to keep going forward. Negative 10, negative 9, negative 8, negative 7, etc. So keep going left to right. Okay, how do we say or write big numbers when we have to do it in words? So let's say, for instance, I give you this number. Okay, normally we would just say 5, 4, 2, 3, 6, 1, 7, 8. But what does it actually mean? Let's start off by making sure that you see there are spaces that separate every 3 digits from the right. Okay, what do we call those every 3 digits? So spaces separate what? Separates periods. So every 3 digits is a particular period with a particular number. If we had to break it up like this, the very last 3 digits count as the ones. The next 3 to the left are the thousands, then the millions, etc. Okay, so we would start writing from the right, those 3, then the next 3, and in this case the last ones are just 2. Okay, why am I doing all of this? It helps us to see how we say this. So if we now say the name, we start from the left and we just say the part in that period. In other words, we would just say 54, and then we would say the name of the period, 54 million. Then the next part we will also just say as 236,000. And then the last part we just say 178. We don't say ones. So 54,236,000 and 178. Okay, so we start saying them from the left, but we write them, we separate them from the right. Please, not commas. Okay, right, there's a section in your notes on rounding numbers. We're going to do that a bit later when we work with the decimals, because it does come up there again. So we're going to stop this section here and say this is the end of part 1 of section 1.1.